Hi YouTube, what's up? I haven't made a video since like when I was streaming Call of Duty, so yeah, this will be my first ever video just talking about sports, and I'm pretty excited. I haven't talked about sports in forever. I made a podcast one time, I uploaded it to YouTube, then I took it down because it got 0 views. Whoops. But that also was because the audio was messed up, so I'm excited to make a YouTube video. I'm excited to do all that stuff. And I want to talk about hockey this year and the Buffalo Sabres mainly because I'm a big Sabres fan. And this season has been quite frustrating if you ask me. So, yeah, let's get into it. I mean, first off, where do I start? Like, this team is bad. This team is not good at hockey. It doesn't make sense to me. Going into the year, I thought, maybe they could compete for a playoff spot, finish 4, 5, 6 points out of the playoffs. But they're like 4, 5, 6 points behind New Jersey, who is light years out of the playoffs already. So, yeah, it's frustrating, man. Like, going into the year, I was like, maybe this year could be different. You get Taylor Hall, you get Eric Stahl, I was like, damn, like, this could be the year Dylan Cousins comes up. Will Borgen's playing well. He could be a good factor on the blue line. Jake McCabe started the year out playing really well. COVID break hits, first game back from COVID, guess what? He gets injured. Yeah, I mean, Linus Ullmark out for a month. McCabe out 6 to 8 months. Will Borgen out for 6 to 8 weeks. Jack Eichel possibly out for the rest of the year. So, it hasn't been good. A lot of just bad things have happened, and it's frustrating. It really is frustrating. They were playing good hockey going into the COVID break, and then, New Jersey gets COVID. Of course, Buffalo gets it because they were playing them, and the whole season pretty much went downhill from there. I think Buffalo's won 2 games since the COVID break. It hasn't been good at all for Buffalo. And that's one of the things. I think, coming out of the COVID break, I was like, well, who knows how they play? They play Philly twice or whatever, and then they played Washington. They lost those 3 games. They played New Jersey. They played a really good game, and for the first time, they scored like 3 goals 5v5. Or actually, I don't even think it was 5v5. I think 2 of those were on the power play, and one of them was 5v5. One big issue the Buffalo's had this year is their 5v5 scoring, but we'll get into that later. So, yeah, this season's just been 10-game losing streak. You keep the same coach who runs the same system, doesn't change a thing. And I'll be honest, that's frustrating. Like, how we all see that Ralph Krueger is just not it in Buffalo. And that's not a problem. Like, that's not me saying that Ralph Krueger's a bad person, all this stuff. No, that's me saying he doesn't know how to coach a team. He's only had half a year of coaching experience before he got to Buffalo. I mean, he coached the Oilers and got fired immediately. In the offseason, he got fired like after 30 games as the head coach. I know he was an interim coach, but still, I mean, he wasn't good there. And his winning percentage now in Buffalo, they have the lowest win percentage in the league, and their win percentage this year is lower than the tank year, where they intentionally traded away good players and pieces that were playing decent so they could lose more games. Fans were cheering for them to lose, and Buffalo fully embraced that. They lost. Guess what? They didn't get the first overall pick. Sucks, but it is what it is, This team is statistically doing worse than that team from 2014-2015. So, if you ask me, how is this man still employed by the Buffalo Sabres? I don't know. It doesn't make sense how this man is still employed in Buffalo, and he's still, making decisions that just make no sense. Like, today's the first time. This is March 15th. It is the first time all season that Okposo has been healthy and he has broken up the Reeder-Okposo-Eakin line. Statistically, the worst line in hockey. Why are we doing it after 10 straight games of losing? For the first time, you do it now? Like, give me a break. Like, don't get me wrong. He's a great guy. But, God, he cannot coach an NHL team at all. And his press conferences make no sense. I'm talking about the Jack Eichel injury. The whole Jack Eichel injury front has been a disaster this year from Ralph Kruger. The things he has said about the team, and Jack Eichel, we didn't even know he was injured. When he was a game time scratch against, I think it was Philly, they didn't know he was injured. Are you kidding me? Guy got bodied. Nico Hischier fell on his ankle, and Jack Eichel could barely finish the game. You didn't know he was injured. And the communication's been horrible. His press conferences are always like, oh yeah, yada, 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 yada. They make no sense. They have nothing to do with the actual way the team's playing. And then every time he gets asked about, oh, well, maybe, you think it should be a new system in place, he always goes like, no, I think we just need more confidence, and this system will work. Well, where has this system worked? I'll give you one answer. It hasn't worked anywhere. This system just does not work. Why are we dumping the puck in with a bunch of players that need the puck on their stick? Why are we dumping the puck in? It literally doesn't make sense. You have Taylor Hall, you have Jack Eichel, you have Sam Reinhart, Victor Olofsson, Jeff Skinner. Don't get me started on Jeff Skinner, but Casey Middlestat, guys that need the puck. Fine, if you want to dump the puck in when you have the redirect Poso-Eakin line out, do that all you want. Do that all day. Because guess what? It gets Kyle Okposo away from making dumb decisions with the puck, which he's made all year. Kyle Okposo is not good anymore. And that's nothing against him. He is just not where he used to be. He is slow. I think Father Time has caught up with him, and it's just not looking good for him. Don't get me wrong. I love the man. He's not as good at hockey anymore as he once was. So that's one thing. Like, Kyle Okposo, man, I feel bad, but I think it's time to move on from him. Buyout might be the best option. But also, the system in place that Kruger runs, let's just get back to that. The system in place that he runs, we're dumping the puck in, and he preaches, let's play a solid team defense. Always preaching team defense. Well, they gave up 25 goals in a 5-game stretch. 5 goals each game. They scored 2 in 4 of those 5 games. They got outscored 25-13 or 14, whatever number it was. I think it was 20. Actually, no, it was 25-12 because they scored 2-2, 2-2. So that's 8, and then 4. That's 12. They scored 4 in a shootout loss to Philadelphia. So I guess they technically gave 24 goals and they scored 12. So they're getting outscored 2-1. You preach defensive excellence, yet you're giving up 25 goals in 4 games. 24 goals in 5 games, whatever the number is. Why are we preaching defensive excellence and not even being remotely close to good in our own zone? The players look lost out there. You know what it is? The players look like they're getting so much information, so much stuff told to them that they have to do that they just can't handle it all. Sometimes you overwhelm people by telling them to do way too much on the ice. Happened in high school for me. I would get overwhelmed sometimes because I would be told to do so many different things in the defensive zone or with the puck on my stick trying to break out. It was never the same. Obviously, it got better because my coach realized that. He's like, all right, let's simplify things. Sometimes things get too complicated. It wasn't just me. It was all the players on our defense. It was all the players on our team. In our own zone, we were a disaster early on in my sophomore year, I think. We were still winning games. That was fine. But we were a disaster because we were getting told too many things. Just had to make it simple. And I think Ralph Kruger doesn't make things simple. And the players sometimes look a little lost out there. If you haven't watched enough Sabres games, the players just look lost. And in the offensive zone especially, there's no game plan. Every time they get the puck, they always try and look to the points because it's just drilled into their mind. Let's get the puck to the point. And then it gets to the point and you have guys like Colin Miller just tee up immediately and shoot it into shins and it never gets through. They see the puck coming to them, wind up, let's take a 1T from the point. That's not going to get through because there's so many guys in front. It always gets blocked away. Always. I can't tell you, they have maybe 3 point shots that have produced a goal this year. 3. They played 26, 27 games. That's stuff, that is stuff that they just do not do well. They do not do that stuff well. And it falls on the coach. It really does. Like, let's not talk about the fact that he's never won anywhere. He just makes things confusing, and his answers make no sense. Oh, we just need some confidence. That's our only issue. So it's not on you then, I guess, Ralph. No, it's only on the players because they're not confident, because they don't believe in your system. That's why your system is bad. They don't believe, they don't have confidence in this system because it won't work. Where has it ever worked? Nowhere. The fact that they were in a playoff spot for as long as they were last year is quite shocking, given the fact that last year at the end of the year, they were one of the worst teams in the league. They were playing almost worse hockey than Detroit. There was a 2014 playoff and they didn't make it, and they were in a playoff spot for most of the year. Like a real playoff spot for most of the year. They just... Some things, man, like, they don't change in Buffalo. It's so frustrating, constantly being told, oh, maybe next year. It doesn't get better. And they can't score because they get the puck in their own zone, or when they get the puck in the neutral zone, their first thought is, let's dump the puck in. Rasmus Dahlin made a play a few games ago that I realized was, perfect. He gets the puck at, 3 feet from the blue line. Instead of just lasering the puck into the zone with two guys still off sides, he recovers, he takes the puck back, passes it to Ristolainen. But guess what Ristolainen does? Gets to the red line, hammers it in, so the players have to go right back in again. They lose possession, and guess what? New York gets a free chance up the ice. No, easy breakout, all that stuff. And then literally that shift, the Islanders scored a goal. So the Ralph Krueger has implanted in these players' heads, oh, dump the puck in. You're gonna, your best bet to win games is dumping the puck in. Our best bet to win games is not having you as our coach. When are you gonna realize that, Ralph? And don't get me wrong, he's not going to want to lose his job. No one would. And I know he wants to win, but it's just not working. It's not working. And there's guys like Bruce Boudreau interested, Nate Learman, the head coach at Providence, a really good head coach candidate. I think he's going to be a really good coach in the NHL someday. I honestly think Buffalo should go out. Buffalo should hire Bruce Boudreau and then hire Nate Learman as an assistant and be like, listen, if Bruce wants to move on at any point in the next 3 years, you're the head coach. If Bruce wants to retire, you're the head coach. Bruce sees this team and he's interested. Now, yeah, it didn't end well in Minnesota, but that team didn't have, much talent at the end of his time there. And I think Buffalo actually has talent. They do have talented, skillful players. They have Jack Eichel. They have Taylor Hall. They have Reinhart. Reinhart's having an amazing year. Victor Olofsson, now, yes, he doesn't do much at 5v5, but he's still a talented player. Jeff Skinner, talented player. Casey Middlestat has some skills. I think they just need a coach that knows what he's doing, and he clearly knew what he was doing in Washington when he won 2 President's Trophies in his second and third years. He took Washington and turned them around completely. He took Anaheim and turned them around completely. So why is Bruce Boudreau, in a lot of people's eyes, a bad option in Buffalo? You go on Twitter, and their Sabres fans are like, oh, I don't want Bruce Boudreau. He couldn't win anywhere. He won a couple President's Trophies, and he had 4 straight 100-point seasons in Washington. Now, I get that team was really good, but guess what? 100-point seasons aren't necessarily the easiest to come by, and Buffalo hasn't had anything remotely good in how long? So why not take a chance on a guy that is a proven winner at the NHL level? He hasn't won a title, he hasn't won a cup, but guess what? He can get teams to the playoffs. And Buffalo, that's all you need. Get to the fucking playoffs. I know I swore, but get to the playoffs, Buffalo. I swear all the time. I've sworn in all my other videos on this channel, but still. Just get to the playoffs. That is all we're asking. We're not even asking for a cup. We just want to make the playoffs once. Just once. It's been 10, 11, almost 11 years. Haven't even been close to the playoffs. So, I don't know. You know what? I don't know. But more stuff about Ralph Krueger not being a good coach is his decisions with the lines. Jeff Skinner scored 40 goals the year prior. Sabres signed into a pretty big contract extension, 8-year, $9 million deal. And they're like, all right, Jeff, now go out and do it again. Last year, Jeff was decent, but guess who he didn't play with? He played not with Jack Eichel, not with Sam Reinhart, not with Victor Olofsson, not with anybody. He really didn't play with anybody. Jeff Skinner played most of the season with Vladimir Sobotka. Yeah. And then Vladimir got injured. And then he was playing on, the bottom line. Jeff Skinner was playing fourth-line minutes. And this year, he was playing fourth-line minutes. Casey Middlestat came in. Guess what? Jeff Skinner's game kind of changed. And Jeff Skinner finally scored a goal. And he just looks different out there with Casey Middlestat, an actual offensive-minded player. Ralph Krueger, at the beginning half of the year, every face-off that Jeff Skinner was on the ice for Buffalo was in the defensive zone. A guy that scores goals and we know isn't the greatest defensive player, and you're giving him no starts in the offensive zone and every start in the defensive zone, and you want him to succeed and score goals, but then you get mad, you bench him for 3 games because he's not playing good enough defense. Quite frankly, you could have benched the entire team for not playing good enough defense. But no, let's bench Jeff Skinner, the guy that plays with nobody and gets paid $9 million and hasn't scored a goal because he plays with absolutely nobody with a brain. Listen, Jeff Skinner's a good fucking player. He's a good skater. I mean, he was snake bitten in the first month of the year. The first 15 games, he couldn't buy a chance at all. He hit so many posts. He would be in a net alone, and it would the puck rolled off his stick a couple times, or the goalie would make a ridiculous save. Jeff Skinner had no luck at the beginning of the year. And quite frankly, he still doesn't really have much puck luck, but let's be honest, he's played a lot better with Casey Middlestat, and, I like that he stuck Casey Middlestat with him and kept them together, but my God, it took you how many games to figure that out, and you still would sit Middlestat sometimes. You still sit Dylan Cousins sometimes. Dylan Cousins is proven to be better than Kyle Okposo, Toby Reeder, Cody Eakin, all those players, yet today he wasn't on the 4-man units. He wasn't on the 4 lines at practice for skate around. No, Dylan Cousins wasn't. Why is Dylan Cousins not playing? He's not injured. We all know this. He's not injured. Unless that hit against the boards against Pittsburgh did injure him. In fact, it may have injured him, and I didn't think about that. But Dylan Cousins, man, needs to play. I don't care if he plays, first-line center with Reinhart and Hall. I don't care if he plays second-line center or second-line wing. Right wing on the second line doesn't sound too bad. And guess what? Right wing on the first line with Sam Reinhart for a year, with Sam Reinhart as the center, would be perfect. One thing I don't know either, why has Sam Reinhart not been given an option to play center ever in his career? When he was a natural center coming into the NHL, he'd played center all his life, but no, let's not play him as a center in the NHL because he's not ready for that. And then they just never moved him. I think Sam Reinhart would be even better as a center. I think he just would. But that's besides the point. I just hope they don't make Dylan Cousins, just completely forget how to play center by never giving him a chance to play center at the NHL. And I think they will let him play center. They already have a few games. Dylan Cousins was first-line center 2 games ago with Sam Reinhart and Taylor Hall. So I hope they keep that. But, if Ralph Krueger is gone, I think that this team just takes a different lead. I think, obviously, this year it won't make a difference. This year it won't make a difference. They won't make the playoffs. They would have to win every single game the rest of the year and not lose. Just not going to happen at all. It's just not going to happen. But I think if they were to hire a guy like Bruce Boudreau, a guy that likes offense, Buffalo has a lot of players that have skill on offense. They have a lot of defensemen that have some offensive prowess, so why not, use that? I think Ralph Krueger has completely, stopped Rasmus Dahlin's growth because he's told Dahlin, no, you got to play defense first, and you got to... Well, Dahlin's game, and the reason why he was okay defensively a few years ago, his rookie year, was because he was given the keys to the offense pretty much. He was given the opportunity to, carry the puck in, make plays at the blue line, get the puck deep, all this stuff. He was given that opportunity. And, in this system, Ralph Krueger doesn't give him a chance to, have the puck on his stick. He just doesn't. He doesn't give the chance to Brandon Montour, a guy that is a good skater, a good player that just needs the puck on his stick sometimes in the offensive, the offensive zone or the neutral zone, and not be told to dump the puck in. Like, Brandon Montour was pretty solid in Anaheim, and when he got to Buffalo, he looked solid his first year, and then Ralph Kruger comes in, and his offensive production just stops. Just completely stops. And it made no sense. And now that I think about it, it's just because he doesn't let them carry the puck. He doesn't give them the option to do stuff like that at all. He doesn't let them be creative. And I think that's one of the reasons that Dahlin this year has kind of looked disappointing. It's not that Dahlin's bad, because Dahlin broke records as a teenager in the NHL. He broke records. And he just hasn't been given the opportunity to be creative with the puck and all this stuff. And there's so many issues, man. I can't even begin to, I can't even say them all. I can't state them all. But, one thing is, if they fire their head coach, which Ralph Kruger should be fired, if they do, Bruce Boudreau is a solid option as a head coach. Nate Learman, solid option as an assistant. And if Bruce goes somewhere else, guess what? Nate Learman is still a pretty solid option. He's doing a hell of a job at Providence. He's interested in the NHL. And I don't think it's a horrible idea to hire a coach from college to be an NHL coach. It's not the worst idea. And so, there's things that Buffalo, needs to have happen. And I'll leave this with one more thing. The trade deadline's coming up. Buffalo's not going to make the playoffs. And if they sell off players, which I hope they do, they should do. They need to sell off some players. If they sell off Taylor Hall, if Taylor Hall's like, guess what? I want to be in Buffalo long term. Well, that's fine. I would be fine with Taylor Hall being in Buffalo for, a 5-year, $6.5 million deal, 5-year, $6 million deal. That'd be perfect. Because Taylor Hall is still a player that can produce. He's still got wheels. He's still, he's still there. It's just the puck luck for Taylor Hall was horrible at the beginning of the year too. Him and Jeff Skinner had some of the worst expected goals for to actual goals for in the entire league. They were second and third. So the puck luck wasn't there. But I wouldn't hate them trading off Taylor Hall, making a gentleman's agreement, under the table agreement that, hey, listen, we want to trade you. We want you to, get some playoff success. You go to a team that can win. And we also would love to have you come back in the offseason, though. We can get some pieces for you that may help us in the long run. And then you come back to us. Kind of like Aroldis Chapman in 2016 when he went to the Cubs, won the World Series, and signed right back with the Yankees in the offseason. I think that's a genuinely good idea. And I think Eric Stahl, just get... trade him. Some teams may need center depth. They need veterans. All this stuff. It's not a bad idea to trade Eric Stahl. You're going to get nothing from him in the offseason. He's probably not going to resign. And even Brandon Montour, that's not a bad idea, but not a bad trade option. There are guys that they can sell off that have, 1 year left on the deal that they can get decent pieces for. I think Montour, 3rd round pick, Stahl, 2nd or late 1st. I don't think a 1st round pick for Stahl is going to be available. I think a 2nd round pick or a couple 3rds. And Taylor Hall, you can actually get a good return. Taylor Hall's had a great year. He just hasn't had puck luck. Like, Taylor Hall is actually having a decent year, pretty solid year. And his playmaking ability, honestly, is kind of surprising how good his playmaking ability is. I don't think I realized how good of a playmaker he was. But Taylor Hall, you can get at least a 1st round pick for. I'd be shocked if they traded him and didn't get a 1st round pick or a solid prospect or two. So there are some options for Buffalo this season. And listen, all we can hope for from here on out is just enjoy watching Sabres games. I wouldn't mind if Buffalo lost every game the rest of the year because they're so far out of the playoffs. I wouldn't mind if they lost every game 6-5, 6-4, 5-4. It'd be exciting. It'd be fun to watch at least, with the odd win here and there. But it feels like they won't win again. But I would be fine if they were losing games, if they were just exciting. These games are boring. They're dull. They're draining. I just want to see some success or some excitement, or the players to look like they're having fun, because they don't, and I don't blame them. Some of these guys have been here for 6, 7 years and they haven't won a thing. They haven't even been close to the playoffs. So I just hope that things can get better, and next year just looks different. Just looks like a whole different thing, whole different team. Just looks overall more fun to watch and all this stuff. So that'll be it. Peace out, and yeah, make sure if you like the video, please leave a like, and if you made it this far, comment down below what you think Buffalo should do. Yeah, peace out.